Hey, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Welcome to the Cheap Audio Man show, where I believe you shouldn't have to spend as much as a well-appointed riding lawnmower for audio equipment. And I hope you feel the same way. So today we are talking about the Triangle. Borea Bro3. Looking it up on the Amazon. I want to read some of its reviews. But if you're new here, please subscribe. If you want to try high-res music for free for 3 months, who doesn't? Then click on the link in the description and scroll down. When you hit that page, all the way to the bottom, hit Try HD. 3 months for free. I get $1 if you sign up for it. And then you can cancel after 83 days. 87. If you really want to push it, 89 days. Or if you like it, you can stick with it. It's $13 if you're a Prime member. That's pretty cheap. Less expensive than Tidal, less expensive than Qobuz, and only $3 more than Spotify, unless you have a deal. If you have a deal, great. Triangle, Bro3s. These fell into my lap. Not literally, I found them. A deal on them. So I brought them in. I've had a couple of questions about them. People want to know. Let's see. What do they retail for? I think it's $5.50. Yes, $5.50. Okay. They have a cellulose. Some people really like that cellulose woofer, and I think it's a soft dome tweeter with a cool waveguide. So with that, grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and let's talk about the Triangle Borea Bro3. How big are they? Well, this is a statue of a monkey. Compared to a monkey, they're this big. A statue of a monkey. Someone's trying to call me. I'm going to hang up on him. Monkey statue, Bro3. So that should give you an idea of how big they are. All right, 6.5 inch woofer. Let's see, I think it's a 1 inch silk dome tweeter, waveguide. Looks like kind of cool. It has like this light brownish fake wood. I love fake wood. This is more like a picture of fake wood that has then been transferred to wallpaper and then wrapped a speaker. And then the front looks like a stormtrooper. So there's a little tiny bevel in here, which is actually really nice. And it's not smooth. It's a little bit textured. And it's got this, rubber waveguide. I'm sure it's highly technical and scientific as to why that is. People love the speaker though. It's been very well reviewed. Lots of good comments. Somebody on Amazon said it's worth 3 to 5 times. Nothing comes close. Balanced and naturally detailed. Wow. Just wow. Outstanding speaker. Love the sound from these speakers. Triangle Bro3. Love Borea Bro3. Great speakers. People love it. They like it. People also like the Polk T15. That has like 4,000 reviews and people love it. I think you should use the Polk S15. I don't know, to level. I don't know, like a car. If you're putting the car up to like do some work underneath it, and you probably shouldn't level a car. It's quite strong though. Maybe a speaker stand. Build a coffee table out of them. The Polk T15s. S15s aren't much better, but the S20s are much better, and they're going to come up in this review. S20s, that is. So I have no notes today. Shooting from the hip on this soundstage. Very good. The tweeter and the waveguide and what they have going on does a very good job of dispersion. So it's got a very nice vertical sound stage as well as lateral sound stage. My buddies over there at Metallica, I like to use one of their songs. It's called Wherever I May Roam, off the Black Album. Very popular album. Actually, what is his name? Jason Newsted, their old bassist, doesn't have to work anymore because of that album. One record. Still gets enough residuals or what do you call it? Royalties off that record that he doesn't have to work again. Okay, anyway, Wherever I May Roam, at the beginning, it goes, wow. Travels to the speakers, very good, very seamless travel, and then there's a little bit of that comes out of the right wall. I think sound staging is where this speaker really does a good job. Imaging is very nice too. Get a nice center image. I wouldn't say it's super detailed as far as stacking people behind that center image. But if you were running this in a home theater, I wouldn't say you'd need a center channel. Unless you're watching Netflix, and Netflix has the worst sound mixing available, and you can't hear any dialogue from Netflix, regardless of what speakers you're using, unless you have a center channel and you jack it up about 6 dB. Sorry, Netflix. Like Netflix is really watching this. Anyway. So soundstage and imaging, I think that's probably the best thing about this speaker. The bass, well, hold on, I need to do my cool little transition. Let's talk about bass. Bass on this is very nice. I've had some people comment as to kind of explain what I mean when I say balanced. When I say the bass, treble, and mid-range are balanced, I mean if you went to see a band live and you heard the bass, mid-range, and treble, and then you came back home and listened to that band's live CD, it should sound like you remember it sounding. A lot of times speakers, for whatever reason, they may lean towards what I call bright, which is overtly trebly, or they lean warm or overtly bassy. Okay? So personally for me, I like what's called a neutral speaker. And a neutral speaker to me has balanced bass, mid-range, and treble, just like the music that you listen to at the concert. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So when I say the bass isn't balanced until you get it up against a wall or something like that, I just mean that the bass doesn't sound in line with the rest of the frequencies, responses, mid-range, and treble. Okay, so the bass on these I feel is well balanced. It's front ported, has 2 ports right here, and it gives you a little bit of freedom of placement. But I would say the bass out of the box is pretty good, regardless of where you put it. So I had them normal position for me is about 16 inches from the wall initially, and the bass was balanced quite nice, full. I would call that accurate as far as balance goes. Is it as tight as other speakers I've heard in this price range? No, but it is present and it's pleasing. It's pleasing. It's pleasing. It's pleasing. Let's talk about mid-range. Okay, for a speaker that's so well reviewed, I'm kind of surprised that no one has talked about mid-range clarity. And when I say mid-range clarity, I just mean how do voices sound? How do acoustic guitars sound? How do female voices sound, especially? I find that some speakers, well, I can't say that. I find that female vocals oftentimes aren't well done on a lot of speakers, and I think that has everything to do with where they're crossing over the speaker, and that's the crossing over the speaker means which frequencies are going to the tweeter and which frequencies are going to the woofer. And so you cross it over with a variety of components like inductors, resistors, and capacitors, all put together in a different way. Regardless, the female mid-range is kind of the bottom end of the treble and kind of the top end of the woofer. So unless you get that like perfectly right, sometimes female vocals especially can suffer. All right. On this speaker, I don't hear clarity in the mid-range. I just don't. It's there. It's pleasing. It's not bad. And if I hadn't heard as many other bookshelf speakers as I had, I would say it's good, you know. But when I'm comparing this to other speakers, and I'm not going to get into which specific speakers I'm comparing it to, because tomorrow we get the Saturday speaker shootout. Triangles are going to be in there with the Klipsch RP 600M and the ELAC debut reference. Okay, so mid-range clarity, I just didn't hear it. The songs I used on that: Chris Cornell, his cover of Patience. I used Alanis Morissette, King of Pain, which is off her MTV Unplugged record. I also use Uninvited, which is off her MTV Unplugged record. I just didn't notice any of the nuances. I also used Hello by Adele. And at the beginning of that song, Adele is kind of stepped back. That's how she was recorded. And her voice can sound veiled on speakers that don't mid-range well. And she sound veiled. Not really bad, not as bad as I've heard on some speakers, but she sound veiled, not detailed. I also use Hurt, the cover by Johnny Cash, and that song is recorded very forward. And you can kind of tell how forward your speaker is by playing that song. If Johnny is right here, then you're probably listening to a KEF LS50 or another speaker that's very forward. If Johnny's stepped back, then you're probably listening to the Triangle Bro3s. If Johnny's in the middle, you're probably listening to what I would call a neutral speaker. So I don't think these speakers are forward. And I actually talked to somebody yesterday that said these speakers are mid-forward. And I couldn't disagree with that any more than I am right now. I don't think they're mid-forward. I just don't. I didn't hear it. Maybe I'm not listening to the right kind of music, though. But even I listened to So What off of Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. Wonderfully recorded record from the 50s. And there just wasn't as much detail in the mids. So I'm sorry, Triangle. I just don't hear it. I don't hear the clarity. I don't hear the mid-range clarity. It's pleasing. It's not bad in any way. It sounds just fine. But I don't hear the clarity. It's not as clear as other speakers. Let's talk about treble. So the theme of not being clear, goes right into the treble as well. The treble on this speaker is what I would call, and what other people would probably call, rolled off. Now, I don't know if other reviewers specifically with this speaker would call it rolled off, but to my ear, it's rolled off. And I don't necessarily mind having a rolled off speaker. Simply because I like to listen at levels where I can start to feel the bass, feel the presence of the music, feel the mid-range even, like on Sad But True by Metallica, when it's ja, 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 da, na, na, na. That part, I like to almost, I like it to touch me a little bit in a nice way. But when I turn it up, the treble comes back on some speakers, like the ELAC debut B6s. At lower levels, I don't hear a lot of treble detail, but I turn it up and the treble's there. I didn't really hear that with this speaker. The Metallica Black album is, the way it's recorded, it's kind of bumped in the bass, and then it's very sparkly on top. Now this speaker, while it handled that record well, and an overly bright speaker, that record can be pretty shrill. it handled it well from the fact that it wasn't shrill, but I still felt like there was no detail in the treble. So what? Off the Kind of Blue record, the cymbals, while they had nice decay, and that's when you hit it and then the cymbal just kind of like fades away, it just seemed veiled and covered up. And not necessarily even step back. Like some speakers, I feel like they have accurate treble, it's just quieter. I just feel like this treble is just not detailed on it. Highway to Hell, AC/DC. And this has some things to do with the mid-range, but also with the treble. I found on a speaker that's very clear and has very nice detail that when the guitar comes in on the right channel, and it should almost be like, almost sounding like a power tool, like a ja-na-na, na-na-na, ja-na-na, na-na-na, except way better than that. And it just didn't seem clear. It didn't. And if you have good clarity in the mid-range and the treble, that song's going to sound almost like it's cracking. Like when it comes in, it's just like, I don't know, tearing a Band-Aid. I don't know why I said tearing a Band-Aid. That doesn't make any sense at all. So, what are my final thoughts on the Triangle Borea Bro3? At $550, this is a pass for me. It's soundstages well and images well, but I think other speakers do the same thing, and other speakers have clarity in the mid-range and clarity in the top end. It's big, it pumps and it moves some air. It'll move some air, it'll fill a room, it'll fill a big room. If you know that you like a speaker that is rolled off on the top end, and I would say, I wouldn't even call this speaker buttery, and that's what I call, you know, some speakers, and I've said some speakers make digital sound like analog, and and that's kind of an X factor and a magic. I didn't feel that with this speaker. I didn't feel like there was much magic at all. And I even switched out my amps because I test everything initially on the Emotiva TA100. $400 integrated, great phono stage, very good integrated amp. And that amp, on some speakers, you can lose a little bit of clarity. So I hooked it up to the Anthem integrated 225. It's an older integrated amp, but that amp has, I wouldn't say more, there's a little bit more top end clarity on that than the TA100 on certain speakers, okay? And the Polk S20 had some very similar issues that I heard on the Triangle Borea Bro3. But when I hooked the Polk up to the Anthem, most, if not all, of that clarity issue in the mids and the top end kind of went away. When I hooked this one up to the Anthem, it sounded pretty much exactly how it sounded before. So I was hoping that maybe, okay, this is just an amp thing. You need to get a better, not a better, just a different style of an amp on it. I could see this speaker being really good with like a Class D amp that you know is bright and like really detailed. But the two amps that I tried, and both of which are highly regarded, Emotiva TA100 and the Anthem integrated 225. And the Anthem integrated is not around anymore, but they still make that power amp. It's the Anthem something 225. Very powerful. It's like 300 watts and 4 ohms. These aren't 4 ohms, they're 8 ohms. And they're rated down to like 44, 46, something like that. It doesn't really matter how they're rated, though. It's how the sound's balanced and how the crossover is implemented onto whether or not that bass even sounds full and nice. Anyway, I would say these speakers are balanced. I think that my biggest gripe about them is just the mid-range and top-end clarity. Everything else they're good at. So if you know you like a very relaxed speaker that doesn't have as much clarity as some other speakers, then look at these. At $550 though, I just think there's better options out there. And I don't know why someone wouldn't want clarity in the mid-range and top end. I get that you might not want it like shrill or forward, but I don't know why anybody would not want that. So if you're looking at this and you're really like, oh my gosh, I really want this, I think the Polk S20 at $280 is actually a better speaker. It's going to push as much air. Now that speaker's rear-ported. This one's front-ported. They sounded very similar, and the Polk actually sounded better on the Anthem at half the price. I personally don't understand why this speaker is getting such high reviews. There's another very popular YouTuber. I watched part of that video a long time ago, and he wasn't like super impressed with it either. There's another YouTuber, quite popular, that loved it. And ultimately, it comes down to our opinions. It's a popular speaker. I don't think it's worth $550 though. And I think if you are considering it, there's better options there. We'll discuss those better options, but in that price range, I don't think this speaker justifies its $550 price tag. I just don't. Maybe if I didn't hear the other speakers, but at this point, I've heard a fair number of bookshelf speakers, and even the KEF Q150, I think, has a similar but better sound signature. So the Emotiva Airmotive B1 Plus that has a different sound signature, but it's ultra clear. I don't know. I'm sorry, Triangle. They're not for me. And I think if you think they're for you, you should really kind of take a step and listen to what type of music you like. Like if you have a speaker that you really like, try to figure out kind of the sound signature on that speaker before you pull the trigger on these. Watch my speaker shootout. I think I'll put it up tomorrow, hopefully. And you'll hear what my thoughts are with this speaker compared to other speakers in the same price category. Same driver sizes, etc. I don't like giving, I wouldn't call this a bad review. I don't like giving these type of reviews though. But I think it's important to understand that if you're looking at this speaker hard. So, if you're new here, subscribe. We're getting some Patreons. Very nice Patreons. Gentleman from New Orleans is going to send me some speakers. If you're going to contribute to the Patreon, and I'm going to use all that money to buy new products, please just give me $1 or $3. There are 2 people that have given me more than any of the tiers I actually have. And I would say if you want to give me more money than the $1 or $3, take that money, go down to your local retailer and buy some $10 headphones, keep them in the package, drive over to your closest Toys for Tots, and give headphones to Toys for Tots so kids that don't have headphones can enjoy some music. Please don't give that money to me. Please. I get it. I'm humbled by it. I really am. But give to somebody else that doesn't have speakers and stuff. We'll get it done if enough people, contribute on the dollar tier. Give $1, give $3, but don't give $10, $20. Don't do it. You're not going to get anything extra from me. I'll reply to you just the same, whether you're giving $1, $3, or $20. So Take that into consideration. And for those of you that are contributing more than $3, maybe consider not. Go buy a couple set of headphones, drop them off at Toys for Tots. Or if you're not in the United States, go down to the homeless shelter or the women's shelter where there's kids and stuff. Drop them off. I'm sure that they can use them. Anyway, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the people that are subscribing. We've gained like double the subscribers in like the last 5 or 6 days, and that's truly humbling for me. Okay? I'm just an idiot talking about affordable hi-fi gear. All right? I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. Tomorrow, Saturday speaker shootout. It's going to be a good one. They're very capable. All these veterans speakers that are going in there know how to fight with even, I don't know, a rubber tire. They can use a rubber. They're like John Wick. They're the John Wick of speakers. A little bit different. We're going to see who wins, though. So with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.